Since the first moment humanity looked upward into the night, we have asked ourselves a question that both terrifies and fascinates us in equal measure. Are we truly alone in this vast cosmic ocean? The answer, whatever it might be, carries implications that shake the foundations of our existence. Yet despite this fear, our curiosity has always won. From Galileo's primitive telescope to the James Webb Space Telescope, from radio dishes scanning the heavens to massive interferometers listening for gravitational whispers, we have searched relentlessly for a sign. Any sign. A single flicker of light that tells us we are not the only consciousness in this infinite darkness. But there is an old saying that warns us. When you stare into the abyss long enough, eventually it stares back. And perhaps, just perhaps, when an unexpected visitor entered our solar system under extraordinary circumstances, that darkness finally returned our gaze. Welcome to Within the Unknown. July 2025. The Atlas telescope in Rio Hurtado, Chile, detected a faint point of light moving through deep space. At first, automated systems tagged it with a temporary designation. Nothing unusual. Astronomers discover new objects every week. But within hours, something became clear. This was no ordinary asteroid. Its velocity was wrong. Its trajectory was impossible. When orbital parameters were calculated, astronomers faced a shocking reality. The object's eccentricity was far greater than 1, approximately 6.14 to be precise. In celestial mechanics, objects with eccentricity between 0 and 1 follow elliptical orbits around the Sun. Objects with eccentricity equal to 1 trace parabolic paths. But objects with eccentricity greater than 1 follow hyperbolic trajectories. They are not bound to our star. They come from infinity and return to infinity. This visitor was mathematically proven to be interstellar, the third such object ever discovered. It was designated 3I Atlas, and it was moving at an incredible 68 kilometers per second. But speed alone was not what made Atlas remarkable. Something else was happening. Something that would soon capture the attention of astronomers worldwide and ignite a firestorm of speculation. But 3I Atlas was not humanity's first encounter with the mysterious nature of interstellar visitors. To understand why this object became so controversial, we need to look back at what came before. The year was 2017, October. A peculiar object entered our solar system and stunned everyone who studied it. It was named Oumuamua, a Hawaiian word meaning scout or messenger from the distant past. This elongated visitor measured approximately 400 meters in length and only 40 meters in width. No known asteroid or comet possessed such an extreme cigar-like shape. Initial observations classified it as an asteroid, but then something strange happened. Oumuamua's trajectory showed a slight deviation, a mysterious acceleration that could not be explained by gravity alone. This tiny push suggested outgassing, the process where frozen volatiles sublimate and create thrust. So astronomers reclassified it as a comet. Yet there was a problem. Oumuamua showed no visible tail, no detectable gas emissions, no chemical signatures. It accelerated without leaving evidence. This paradox opened the door to speculation. Some scientists proposed natural explanations involving nitrogen ice or hydrogen icebergs. But one astronomer at Harvard University saw something different. His name was Avi Loeb. Professor Abraham Loeb, chair of Harvard's astronomy department, published a paper with his colleague Shmuel Bialy. Their hypothesis was provocative. What if Oumuamua was not entirely natural? What if it was a light sail, an artificial sheet thin enough to be propelled by solar radiation pressure. Loeb carefully stated that while natural explanations existed, the anomalies deserved consideration of artificial origins. Perhaps it was derelict space debris from a distant civilization. Perhaps it was an active probe. The scientific community reacted with skepticism. Most astronomers favored natural explanations. A team led by Stephen Desch and Alan Jackson from Arizona State University proposed that Oumuamua was a fragment of nitrogen ice from a Pluto-like exoplanet, torn away by a collision 500 million years ago. As it traveled through space, cosmic radiation would have slowly eroded and flattened it. When it approached our sun, nitrogen sublimation could have provided thrust without leaving a visible trail. This seemed to fit the data better than an alien spacecraft, but Loeb's hypothesis had entered public consciousness. The media ran with it. Headlines screamed about alien visitors. Then, Oumuamua left our system as mysteriously as it arrived, and the furor gradually subsided. Until 3I Atlas appeared. What made Atlas different from Oumuamua? Several things. First, its size. Preliminary estimates suggested a diameter approaching 10 kilometers. This was not a small fragment. This was a massive body. Second, its behavior. In August 2025, the Hubble Space Telescope observed something extraordinary. Atlas was producing a tail, but not in the expected direction. Normally, comets develop tails that point away from the sun as solar radiation pushes gas and dust outward. Atlas's tail appeared to point forward, in the direction of travel. It looked as though the object was firing reverse thrusters, as if it was deliberately slowing down. Third, the color. As Atlas approached the sun, instead of displaying the expected reddish hue, it began glowing blue. Blue emission suggests extremely high temperatures, the kind produced in advanced propulsion systems. Yet Atlas was still 1.34 astronomical units from the sun. 1 AU is the distance between Earth and the sun, roughly 150 million kilometers. At that distance, natural heating should not produce such intense blue luminescence. And fourth, the timing. Avi Loeb's team announced they had traced Atlas's trajectory backward. According to their calculations, the object originated from the same region of sky that produced one of astronomy's greatest mysteries, the WOW signal. Here is where the story takes us back to 1977, a hot August night in Ohio. The Big Ear radio telescope was conducting its routine scan of the cosmos. Astronomer Jerry Eman was reviewing the printouts, long sheets of paper showing radio frequency data. Then he saw it, a signal so strong, so unusual, that he grabbed a red pen and circled it. Next to the alphanumeric sequence, he wrote one word: WOW. The signal lasted exactly 72 seconds. It was detected at 1420.456 megahertz. The hydrogen line. Hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe, and its emission frequency is considered a universal communication channel. If an intelligent civilization wanted to announce its presence across the cosmic noise, this would be the frequency to use. The signal's bandwidth was extremely narrow, approximately 10 kilohertz. This suggested an artificial carrier wave rather than natural emission. But the most mysterious aspect was that the WOW signal occurred only once, as if someone in the Sagittarius constellation had sent a message with their last remaining power. A bottle cast into the cosmic ocean, and we happened to catch it. By the time telescopes around the world turned their attention to that patch of sky, the signal had vanished. The source fell silent forever. Decades passed. Scientists continued searching. Then in 2015, something else unusual appeared. Tabitha Boyajian, analyzing data from NASA's Kepler Space Telescope, discovered strange light fluctuations from a star designated KIC 8462852, located 1,470 light-years away in the constellation Cygnus. This star, which became known as Tabby's star, exhibited bizarre dimming patterns. When a planet passes in front of its host star, it typically blocks about 1% of the light. But Tabby's star was dimming by up to 22% in completely irregular patterns. This anomaly brought to mind a theoretical concept proposed by physicist Freeman Dyson. A Dyson sphere, or Dyson swarm, represents a hypothetical megastructure that a Type II civilization might build to harvest stellar energy. Such a civilization would surround its star with billions of power-collecting satellites, creating a dense shell that would significantly block and modulate the star's light. Could Tabby's star be hosting such a structure? The scientific community remained cautious. After years of observation, the most likely explanation emerged. The star was probably surrounded by a dense dust cloud, perhaps from a disintegrating comet or moon. One key piece of evidence supported this. While visible light was being blocked, infrared light passed through unimpeded. A solid megastructure would block both wavelengths equally. Yet even with this natural explanation, some scientists suggested that a 5% possibility remained. Perhaps something artificial existed there. But these were distant mysteries, light years away. Then something changed. In October 2017, instead of searching the infinite depths for signs of intelligence, those depths sent a visitor directly to us. Do you think we are prepared if we ever definitively discover we are not alone? Think about it. How would such a revelation change our society? But let's return to Atlas. By late August 2025, multiple observatories were tracking this massive interstellar object. The Hubble observations of the forward-pointing tail had sparked intense debate. Then another anomaly emerged. Loeb's team noticed that as Atlas approached the Sun, its velocity was not following a purely gravitational trajectory. The object was accelerating beyond what solar gravity could explain. For a body this massive, roughly 10 kilometers across, any outgassing sufficient to alter its trajectory should produce an enormous dust cloud. Yet Atlas left surprisingly little debris. Its emission profile resembled an efficient technological thruster, more than natural sublimation. Specifically, it resembled an ion drive. This claim was not without basis. The blue luminescence was the key. In our most advanced spacecraft, ion drives produce blue glows because they accelerate charged particles to extremely high velocities, creating plasma that emits at short wavelengths. Atlas was displaying similar optical characteristics. The combination of anomalies seemed to pile up. A massive interstellar object traveling at extreme velocity, apparently modulating its speed, glowing blue like a plasma engine, leaving minimal debris despite its size, and originating, according to Loeb's calculations, from the same celestial coordinates that had produced the WOW signal 48 years earlier. It seemed almost too perfect, too cinematic, and that is exactly when things went wrong. On November 8, 2025, the United States government shut down due to budget disagreements. NASA's public data streams went dark. In the information vacuum that followed, something predictable happened. Conspiracy theorists rushed to fill the void. Within days, posts began appearing on Reddit, Twitter, and YouTube. Users claimed that Atlas was transmitting regular pulses at 1420 MHz containing the Fibonacci sequence. They alleged that decoded messages said things like, "Observe, prepare, understand, the gate awaits." Various forums exploded with speculation. People began connecting Atlas to ancient astronaut theories. Videos proclaimed that the old gods were returning. Channels started producing content about the Atlas Manifesto and cosmic enlightenment. Some accounts shared what they claimed were telescope images of the object, showing geometric structures. These were AI-generated fakes, but they spread rapidly. The internet was doing what it does best, taking a fascinating scientific mystery and drowning it in noise. For anyone who genuinely wanted to understand what was happening, the situation had become nearly impossible to navigate. Real data was absent. Speculation was everywhere. And the longer NASA remained silent, the wilder the theories became. It was a perfect storm of mystery, government blackout, and social media amplification. Could you blame people for being excited? When extraordinary things happen and official information disappears, speculation fills the gap. But there is a difference between excitement and jumping to conclusions. We were about to learn that difference. Fortunately, on November 12th, the government reopened. Data began flowing again, and crucially, other countries had been observing Atlas the entire time. The MeerKAT radio telescope array in South Africa's Karoo Desert had been tracking the object. Professor Mattia Vaccari led a team that analyzed Atlas using 64 dish antennas. Their findings contradicted the internet claims. They detected absorption lines at 1,665 megahertz. These spectral signatures indicated thermal activity at -43 degrees Celsius. Even far from the sun, Atlas was outgassing. This confirmed the presence of sublimating ices. The object was not a silver-coated spacecraft. It was a celestial body containing trapped water and other volatiles, slowly releasing them as it warmed. This outgassing explained the slight deviations in its trajectory. The same phenomenon had affected Oumuamua. But what about the forward-pointing tail? This turned out to be an optical illusion combined with real physics. Atlas was ejecting unusually large dust particles, approximately 100 micrometers in diameter. Normal comet dust is much finer. Solar radiation pressure pushes fine particles away, creating the classic tail. But Atlas's heavy particles were not pushed as efficiently. They lingered along its orbital path. Because we were viewing the object from a particular angle relative to its orbital plane, these suspended particles appeared to extend toward the sun due to perspective effects. It was not reverse thrust. It was geometry. And the blue color? This had nothing to do with plasma engines. It resulted from the chemical composition of Atlas's outgassing. Spectroscopic analysis revealed that the object was releasing abundant quantities of cyanogen and diatomic carbon. These molecules fluoresce in blue and green wavelengths when illuminated by sunlight. Most comets produce significant amounts of fine dust that reflects red and yellow light, masking these emissions. Atlas produced very little fine dust, so its gas emissions dominated the visual spectrum. We were seeing it glow blue simply because of its composition, not because of artificial propulsion. What about the trajectory leading back to the WOW signal's origin? This turned out to be incorrect. More detailed orbital reconstruction showed that Atlas likely originated from the direction of the Hercules constellation, not Sagittarius. These are completely different regions of the sky. The connection to the WOW signal was coincidental at best. Perhaps even an error in preliminary calculations. Where did Atlas actually come from? The most probable origin is the thick disk region of our galaxy, where older stars reside. We are talking about stellar populations older than 7 billion years. In such regions, ancient supernovae could have shattered planetary systems, flinging debris into interstellar space at tremendous velocities. This would explain why Atlas was both massive and fast. Does it disappoint you to learn that Atlas was not an alien spacecraft? Or does the real explanation seem just as fascinating? After all, we are talking about a visitor that has traveled between the stars for millions of years. So Atlas was not a vessel from an ancient civilization. It was not carrying cosmic messages or waiting to open dimensional gates. The manifestos and enlightenment promises were fantasies. But here is what we should not do. We should not dismiss Atlas as meaningless just because it is natural. Existence of interstellar wanderers like this is profoundly important. The fact that they can carry water ice across the galaxy matters deeply. For those studying how life began on Earth, these objects represent a crucial possibility. Perhaps similar asteroids, ejected from dying star systems billions of years ago, carried the fundamental building blocks of life to our young planet. Perhaps when they collided with Earth, they seeded our oceans with organic compounds. Perhaps they sparked the chemistry that eventually led to us. This is one of the leading theories for the origin of terrestrial life. Panspermia, life spreading through space on cosmic debris. If this theory is ever proven, it would mean something remarkable. We spend so much time searching the universe for alien life. But if these interstellar messengers brought the ingredients for life here, then perhaps the real aliens on Earth are us. We would be the descendants of chemistry that formed around a star that died before our sun was born. Our atoms would be immigrants from another solar system. The difference between that reality and the fantasy of alien spacecraft is profound, but it is no less awe-inspiring. Let's put this into perspective. When Oumuamua appeared, we had never confirmed an interstellar object before. When Tuai Borisov appeared, we had one. Now we have 3. These are not rare. We are simply getting better at detecting them. Statistical models suggest that dozens, perhaps hundreds, of interstellar objects pass through the inner solar system every year. Most are too faint or move too quickly for us to notice. But our telescopes are improving. Our survey programs are expanding. In the coming decades, we will detect more and more of these visitors. Some will be icy, some will be rocky, some might be metallic fragments from destroyed worlds. Each one will teach us something about the galaxy's history. Each one will be a messenger, though not the kind that social media imagined. They will be messengers of physics, chemistry, and cosmic evolution. And yes, there is a small chance that someday one of them might actually be artificial. We cannot rule it out completely. Loeb is not wrong to remain open to that possibility. Science requires us to consider all hypotheses that fit the data. But science also requires us to proportion our beliefs to the evidence. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. A blue glow and an unusual trajectory are not extraordinary proof. This brings us to a larger point about how we consume information in the modern age. When Atlas's story broke and NASA went silent, the internet filled with speculation. Some of it was earnest curiosity. Some of it was deliberate misinformation. Some content creators saw an opportunity to generate views by making dramatic claims. They took preliminary data, added speculation, mixed in AI-generated images, and presented it as hidden truth that the authorities did not want you to know. This is a pattern we see repeatedly. A legitimate scientific mystery emerges. Official information is delayed or incomplete. Alternative explanations proliferate. By the time actual data arrives, many people have already committed to the exciting narrative. When scientists present the real explanation, it feels like a letdown. It seems less interesting than the alien spacecraft story. But this perception is wrong. Reality is not less interesting. We just need to learn how to appreciate it properly. The fact that a 10-kilometer chunk of rock and ice can be flung out of one solar system, travel through the freezing void for millions of years, and then swing through our neighborhood at 68 kilometers per second is breathtaking. The fact that we can detect it, calculate its origin, analyze its composition, and understand its behavior using mathematics and spectroscopy is extraordinary. That is the real story. That is what should inspire wonder. Here is what actually happened with 3I Atlas. A massive, interstellar object entered our solar system at extremely high velocity. Initial observations showed unusual features that were genuinely puzzling. Scientists worked to understand them. While they worked, incomplete information led to speculation. Eventually, further observations and analysis revealed natural explanations. The object was a comet-like body from another star system, probably ejected during a supernova billions of years ago. It contained water ice and organic compounds. It outgassed as it approached the sun, creating subtle thrust that altered its trajectory. It appeared blue because of its chemical composition. Its tail appeared reversed because of perspective and heavy dust particles. It had no connection to the WOW signal. It was not an alien probe. Case closed. But the episode teaches us something valuable about scientific literacy and critical thinking. We live in an era of unprecedented access to information, but also unprecedented access to misinformation. When something extraordinary happens, we have a choice. We can wait for evidence. We can seek out credible sources. We can proportion our excitement to the quality of the data. Or we can jump immediately to the most dramatic conclusion. The second option is more emotionally satisfying in the moment, but it leads us away from truth. If you found yourself excited by the prospect of Atlas being an alien spacecraft, that's completely understandable. The idea is thrilling. But excitement should not override skepticism. When the evidence does not support a claim, intellectual honesty requires us to accept that. This does not mean closing ourselves off to wonder. It means directing our wonder toward things that are actually real. The universe does not need embellishment. It is already full of marvels. Black holes that warp space-time until time itself stops. Neutron stars spinning hundreds of times per second. Galaxies colliding over millions of years. Quantum particles that exist in multiple states simultaneously. Cosmic inflation that expanded the universe by a factor of 10 to the power of 26 in a fraction of a second. And yes, interstellar asteroids carrying the chemistry of dead worlds across the galaxy. These are real. They exist. They are not speculation, and they are magnificent. When we choose fantasy over reality, we diminish these actual wonders. We trade truth for fiction, and in doing so, we lose something important. We lose the ability to be genuinely amazed by what actually exists. Before we finish, let's address one more aspect of this story. Avi Loeb. Some have criticized him for his willingness to suggest extraterrestrial explanations. Some say he is seeking attention or operating outside scientific norms. But this criticism is not entirely fair. Loeb is careful to frame his ideas as hypotheses worth considering, not as established facts. He argues that we should not rule out artificial origins simply because they seem unlikely. His position is that scientists have become too conservative, too quick to dismiss even the possibility of detecting technological signatures. Is he right? That is debatable. But his approach is not inherently unscientific. It becomes problematic only if evidence is ignored or misrepresented. And in this case, Loeb has acknowledged the MeerKAT findings and other data that support natural explanations. He has not doubled down on claims that have been refuted. That is how science should work. You propose a hypothesis, you test it. If the data does not support it, you adjust. The issue is not Loeb's scientific approach. The issue is how his ideas get amplified and distorted by media and social networks. A carefully worded scientific paper suggesting we should consider all possibilities becomes a headline screaming, "Alien spacecraft detected." That transformation happens outside the laboratory. It happens in the attention economy of clicks and shares. And it creates a distorted picture of what scientists are actually saying. So what is the final word on 3I Atlas? It is a natural object, almost certainly a fragment from an extrasolar planetary system that was destroyed billions of years ago. It spent eons traveling through the darkness between stars before briefly passing through our solar system. We were lucky enough to detect it and study it. The data revealed that it behaves like other comets, though with some unusual characteristics related to its size, composition, and velocity. There is no evidence of artificial origin. There is no connection to the wow signal. There are no encoded messages. There is no cosmic enlightenment waiting. But there is something valuable. There is knowledge. There is the reminder that our solar system is not isolated. Objects from other stars visit us regularly. Some of them may have delivered the organic compounds that eventually became life on Earth. And someday, with better technology, we might even be able to intercept one of these visitors, land on it, and study its composition directly. That mission would tell us about the building blocks available in other stellar systems. It would tell us how common Earth-like chemistry is throughout the galaxy. And that would bring us closer to answering the question we started with. Are we alone? We don't have that answer yet. The wow signal remains unexplained. Tabby's star still holds mysteries. We have not detected any confirmed techno-signatures from distant civilizations. But we keep looking, and we keep learning. Every interstellar visitor teaches us something. Every false alarm sharpens our methods. Every time we correctly distinguish between natural phenomena and potential artificial signals, we become better at the search. One day, perhaps, we will find something that truly defies natural explanation, something that unmistakably indicates intelligence. When that happens, we will know it. Not because internet forums are buzzing, not because AI-generated images are circulating, but because the scientific community will have verified it through multiple independent observations. Because the data will be published and peer-reviewed. Because extraordinary claims will finally have extraordinary evidence. Until then, we wait. We observe. We analyze. And we remain open to wonder, while keeping our skepticism sharp. That balance is difficult, but it is essential. It is what separates science from fantasy. It is what separates knowledge from belief. Thank you for watching. When topics like this emerge, always approach them with logic and scientific thinking, not with forum fantasies or AI-generated images. Governments and research institutions spend millions every year searching for extraterrestrial intelligence. If something truly extraordinary appears in our skies, you will hear about it from hundreds of credible sources, not from speculation and rumor. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and keep looking up. Until next time.